Hello, friends. CD from AK3R here, and it's a mess. It's a whole ass mess. I got off of Twitter because I was about to fight people, and y'all already know when CD's Twitter fingers get going, he does not stop. So I pulled myself away before I started fighting people. So let's just get straight into it. Hello, counselor. I'm going to just let everyone who's watching now, if you have a history with emotional abuse in your family, some physical bullying in your family, between family members and your parents, if you're a victim of sexual misconduct, sexual assault, abuse, anything in those categories, don't watch this video. Don't watch it. Just don't watch it. Trigger warning. Or you could watch it if you wanted to, but still trigger warning. So, Hello Counselor. For those of you who don't know what Hello Counselor is kind of like a game show mixed with Dr. Phil. Every week, 3 to 4 people come onto the show with their concerns. It can be a concern, or the concern is usually an issue they have about their family, their friends, their coworkers, or just it can be just about anything really, but it's usually family, friends, or coworkers that they have issues with. And it ranges from stuff like my sister and I keep fighting to my daughter has too many pets. My brother always farting a lot, or my wife hits me. My husband hits me. My dad's abusive. My mom drinks too much. It can go from tiny little pet peeve stuff that's not really that deep to major concerns, and I'm just going to say this, the people who host this show, they are not trained psychiatrists or psychologists or therapists. They're all comedians. So their therapy is laughter, and the show tries its best to heal through laughter. So it may come off sometimes as though they are not taking it seriously, but each concern gets the same kind of treatment. They try to heal through laughter. Every concern they try to bubble everybody up, make everyone comfortable, make everyone laugh, and then they get serious, because it's they're comedians, but again, you're on the show for a specific issue, and at the end, at the end of each concern, they try to find, at the end of every segment, they try to come to a common ground, a common conclusion. And there are certain concerns where they can't, where one side or both sides just can't come to that. They can't meet that common ground or that conclusion. And at that point, it's just like, y'all might want to seek professional help because we can't really do anything at this point, but that's usually how it goes. And yes, there's other parts of the show, but that's not relevant, that, the whole voting system, but that's not relevant to the topic at hand. On the most recent episode, all right, I know some of y'all know what you guys saw on Twitter, all right, but the segment was not about that specific highlight. The highlight was included, but that's not what the whole segment was about. The woman came on the show because her husband was terrorizing her family. Her husband was being kind of a douchebag, kind of an asshole, her and her husband are married. I don't know how old she is, but her husband is about 40 years old. They have a daughter that's about 3 and a son that's 5. And her husband would pull these really inappropriate, crude, and vulgar jokes on his family. Like, he would throw his smelly underwear and his smelly socks at his kids and pull it over their faces and pull it over their heads and rub it in their face. His the just been worn underwear and socks. There was an incident where he threw his son into a deep swimming pool. Son obviously either he can't swim or he can't swim that well. They didn't specify, but his son either couldn't swim or he could swim, but just not that well in the deep end of the pool. And then when he got out of the water, the little boy was crying and the dad was laughing the whole time, and there's been instances where his son was running and the dad tripped him. And when the mom's like, why are you doing this? He would say, he likes to see the kids cry because they're cute when they're crying, to him. And then one instance that's really inappropriate is, he would pin his son down, like put his stomach on it, pin him down, pull up and then just kiss him all over from head to toe and play with his private parts, and the private part section is where people got really triggered on Twitter. That's why Twitter is ablaze right now, is because of that one part where he was talking about how he played with his son's private parts. Continuing on, because there's an instance where he would be very inappropriate with his wife. He would touch his wife's breasts, play with them inappropriately, put his hand down her pants inappropriately, and try to initiate sex. They mentioned that he did this at home one time when the kids were home, and I think they were like just a few feet away, and he'd just pull her into their bedroom and there'd be no consideration. There was an instance where they were at the zoo, and he like flicked his wife's breast, like got his hand under her breast and like flicked it, and was just like speaking vulgarly, like, oh, why are they so small? And he even touched his own mother's breast. And remind you, this man is 40 years old. And, the wife explained earlier on that her husband is the kind of person who it's like, he's playful to the point, and the husband kind of admitted this to an extent, that he's playful to a point where it's like he doesn't take anything serious. He doesn't know boundaries. Like, he doesn't understand that what he does is hurting people. What he does makes people feel really uncomfortable. Like, I think the people on Twitter probably thought that he's like being a pedophile and like is sexually attracted to his son. That's not the case. That's where I want people to get out of it. That's not the case. This isn't Law and Order SVU. This is someone who does not understand boundaries with his own family. And they asked him, did your parents show this kind of affection to you when you were young? And he explained, no, they didn't show him much affection when he was younger. So obviously it seems that like the reason he's acting this way is because he never received affection as a young person. So he was never properly taught what was good affection and bad affection, what's good touching and bad touching. And some of the other panels, some of the other celebrities on the panel, you have the main host and you have the celebrity guest. Some of the other celebrities on the panel even admitted that they experienced this while growing up, something similar, but after a certain age, these people, their dad stopped or their grandpa stopped. But the issue with this is that, it's real with this particular family is that it's having a deeper effect because the wife, for example, she went to a psychiatrist recently, and the psychiatrist told her that she suffered from like depression and panic attacks. And the issue would be, her husband is such a joking person. He's kind of selfish, and there would be times where he would just really just not be in the mood, and he's in his little playful bit and just not thinking about anything but himself. And that's where the thing comes full circle. Because again, people on Twitter think that this is a case of Law and Order SVU. It's not. This isn't a pedophile. I mean, yes, it's still. I'm not downgrading the situation, but I think people are misunderstanding his reasons. And I'm not saying that the reasons make it any better. I'm just saying this is not a case of being sexually attracted to his son. He's not. This is someone who does not understand boundaries. He's crossing the line, and he's still laughing about it like it's a joke. And it's gotten to a point where it's not a joke. It's not funny anymore for some people because it's just not. That's what I want people to understand. I'm not defending this guy because it doesn't matter if he was. Honestly, it doesn't matter whether or not he's doing it from the mindset of a pedophile or just someone who's playing a prank and doesn't understand their boundaries. That can still have a traumatic effect on people. All right, that can still have a very big traumatic effect. And like, it's very obvious the little boy is like 5. I don't know if it's Korean age or international age. I'm assuming it's Korean age because when I saw the clip, he looked younger than 5. He looked much younger than 5, but it still can have a long-term traumatic effect. And what I want, before I go into anything else, I really want people to stop attacking the host of Hello Counselor, because people seem to think that the Hello Counselor host was just laughing it off and not taking it seriously. Every concern on that show, they do take seriously. It's addressed in a serious manner. But again, they're comedians. The best way they know how to offer advice sometimes is with comedy. And there are times where that show, it gets so serious and people start crying. And when you see someone crying and you're a comedian, the best way you know how to brighten their day is to make them laugh. Someone who's depressed, someone who's crying, some of the best healing energy, some of the best positive energy you can give them is laughter. No, it may not always help them out in the long run, but just that one moment of laughter can help in just that small little moment of happiness can do a lot. All right. And that's, again, their whole thing is advice and therapy and counseling through laughter. Yes, they do get serious. I really wish people would watch. If you watch the show, you would know that that's how they approach every single concern, the petty ones and the serious ones. You know, people need to, I do not, and I really hate how people are saying the show should be canceled, because if this is what you guys think is worthy enough for a show getting canceled, then you guys need to, if you're an American, especially my American viewers, then Dr. Phil should be canceled. The Moore Show should be canceled. Jerry Springer should have been canceled from the start. Steve Wilkos' show should be canceled. Jeremy Kyle should be canceled. These are all shows where stuff like abuse, child molestation, bullying is brought into the forefront on a consistent basis. The only difference between those shows and Hello Counselor is that Hello Counselor tries to approach things from a more laughter way, and they try to fix the situation through comedy. And there have been situations where they just dropped the whole comedy act and they got so dead serious, because there have been times where both sides were just so, one side was just being stubborn as fuck, or just was refusing to understand what they were doing wrong, that they had to just drop the whole comedy thing and be like, you need to realize this. You know, I have seen these hosts get pissed the fuck off because there have been people on there who were emotionally, physically, or mentally abusing, or just being straight up inconsiderate to the people around them, and was negatively affecting the people around them, and just did not seem to care. They didn't care that they were affected. And this is the case of that dad. This dad is somebody who was never taught how the difference between good touching and bad touching, and good affection and bad affection. He doesn't realize that his jokes is hurting his family. And just because you're an adult doesn't mean you're incapable of learning. You don't stop learning when you leave school. You don't stop learning when you leave school. And I want everyone to take this in consideration. I do not think that this segment is a reflection of Hello Counselor as a whole, because trust and believe, every country has those shows that exploit people. And honestly, guys, I know a lot of people are reacting negatively because there's a child involved in the situation, but understand this is affecting, and again, I'm not downgrading the child's experience, but this man is affecting his entire family, the entire family. And as of right now, the little boy, he's at an age where he might not even remember that when he gets old. Not saying he won't, because he could very well be, he could already be traumatized. But as of right now, we don't know that. We don't necessarily know with this young boy. The wife is already suffering from depression and taking medication for her depression and her anxiety attacks. So she could crack any second. You know, so I am not saying what this man is doing is wrong, because what this man's doing is horribly wrong. You cannot, there's no excuse for it, because he was making a lot of excuses. What he was doing cannot be justified. I will say it can be understood. It's important to understand why, so that way when people come along again, they see, oh, this is what can happen when this is what happens when you raise your child a certain way. Two things will happen. Your child will either take what you've taught them and make it their own, or they will reject it completely and form a completely opposite personality. And this is a situation of a man who was not shown much affection. And as a way to counter that, he decided, I'm going to express my affection as strongly as possible. And he's expressing it in unhealthy ways. And it's tearing his family apart because he thinks he's doing nothing wrong. And it's made him selfish, and it's made him hella inconsiderate. And I think at this point I'm kind of repeating myself, but I just want everyone to understand that Hello Counselor should not be canceled because of this. The only thing Hello Counselor is doing is bringing this to light. Yes, they might be doing it in a way that might not be serious enough for some of you, but this show is meant to heal through laughter. All right? That's what the show is meant to do. Heal through laughter. Yes, there's a whole game show cash prize winning part of the show, but overall, it heals through laughter. The hosts are all comedians. They crack a joke. Yeah, they crack a joke sometimes in response to everything, but they still give advice. When when they mentioned about how the husband flicked his wife's breast and said something inappropriately, he was like, he flicked his wife's breast. He was like, oh, they're so small. One of the hosts was like, you should have flicked his dick and be like, oh, it's so small, because like yeah, that was a joke, but in a way, this is like that's a comedic way of saying, see how he likes it, because it's all fun and games until somebody pulls your own joke on you. All right, so I'm done ranting, but I want everyone to understand the 2 points I'm making here. No way in point am I saying that this man is innocent, because he's not, because what he's doing ain't right. And at the same time, I'm not saying I don't believe that Hello Counselor should be canceled because of this. Because if you've been watching Hello Counselor for as long as I have, you've seen some pretty shitty people come on that show. But unlike other shows, they try to come at it from a more positive, I won't say positive, but their approach is different. Their approach is different. They approach things in a comedic way, because they're not psychiatrists. They're not therapists. They can't be like Steve. They can't throw a chair like Steve Wilkos. They can't just bring up a lie detector test. They can't do a paternity test. They can't do all of that. All right. Their approach is different, but the message is still the same. It's not right. All right. I've been recording for too long, and I'm CD from AK3R. Subscribe if you want to see more videos. Follow me on social media. Links are in the description. Shout out to my co-hosts featured on this channel, past, present, and future. I'm CD. Goodbye, you guys. And if you have been a victim of sexual abuse, sexual misconduct at all, report it, you guys. Or if you're in a situation where the person just may not understand what they are doing is hurting you, give them help, right? Because if someone doesn't understand how what they're doing is wrong, and it's gotten to a point where your family's literally falling apart, get that person help, because get them help. You don't stop learning just because you're an adult. All right. Anyways, I'm CD. Goodbye.